Ever wonder why your vegan baking recipes just don't turn out that great? I mean, there could be 100 reasons for that, but today we're going to solve one of those. So, chances are, if you're like me or like anyone else, you go to the shops, you buy Nuttelex, any type of vegan tub margarine. If you're going to make a cake or cookies, whatever, well, let me tell you, that is the problem. What's the solution? Well, one of the solutions is to actually purchase real cultured vegan butter, which you can find at supermarkets these days. They also kind of tend to cost about $18 for 250 grams or 8 ounces. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be paying that much for, butter. So, another solution, a better solution, make your own. I know, sounds like a crazy science experiment, but trust me, it's a lot easier than you think it is. Today I'm going to show you how to make cultured vegan butter, which takes about like 10 minutes tops to make and can store in the fridge for up to 1 year. And guess what? I'm also going to be doing it in the Fruity G2.6. So let's get started. So here I am with the lovely G2.6 by Fruity. I'm just going to show you a few of the really simple ingredients that we're going to use to make our vegan butter. Number 1, pink Himalayan sea salt. Cheap stuff. Everything's cheap here. Organic apple cider vinegar. Soy lecithin granules. Wondering what soy lecithin is? Well, it's this stuff. Sounds crazy, but you can actually get this at Woolworths, Coles, or whatever supermarket you go to these days in the organic food section. So soy lecithin is used in commercial almond milk, oat milk, soy milk. It's what stops it from separating. So we're going to use this today. The cat's very interested. Can you go away? We're going to be using this today to emulsify our butter. Now, if you don't have it, you don't have to use it. But, it's only $6 for a little packet, which will last you forever if my cat gets away. Bye-bye. And, it'll store in the pantry for ages and ages. So try and get your hands on this, otherwise it's okay. Cheap soy milk. You don't have to use anything too expensive for this recipe. And the most important bit, refined coconut oil. I used refined coconut oil so that your butter does not end up tasting like coconut. I mean, if you're cool with that, you can use regular extra virgin. But, I like using refined coconut oil because, you can use it in brownies, cookies, everything, and it's not going to impart a coconutty flavor. I actually got this ginormous tub. I think it's 4 liters for $35 online. So it was an absolute steal. So if you can get your coconut oil online, I really suggest doing that, because they're kind of, expensive in the shops. First step, we're gonna curdle the soy milk, right? It adds a nice little flavor and just makes the entire recipe taste just a little bit more buttery. We're gonna curdle it with our apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna do this straight in the blender because I hate washing up like a gazillion things. So we're gonna put in a 1/4 cup of soy milk and an additional 2 teaspoons of it. Now, in order to make this soy milk curdle, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Now, you're going to have to let that sit for about 10 minutes and it'll start curdling and making vegan buttermilk, basically. In the meantime, we're going to measure out all our other ingredients. Okay, now that the soy milk has curdled, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients in. We're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt. This is optional, so if you want an unsalted butter, you can leave it out. Done. Soy lecithin, we're going to add 2 teaspoons. One thing I forgot to mention, just a tiny bit of regular old vegetable oil so that the butter is not too hard. 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan gum. So xanthan gum is a really handy ingredient to have at home. It's used a lot in gluten-free baking, and it's also used to thicken sauces and stuff without having to apply heat. So we're going to add a little bit of this in as well. And the final ingredient, 1/2 cup of refined coconut oil, which is about 130 grams. Okay, now that all the ingredients are inside the blender, we're gonna blend it for 2 minutes on high. So I'm gonna actually set this to 2 minutes. And I'm gonna start with speed 5. And then we'll work our way up. So the reason you wanna blend it for a whole 2 minutes is because you don't want your butter to be grainy. Right? You want smooth butter that you can use in baking and that you can spread on toast and just do a gazillion things with. So if you're using a regular blender, it might take longer than 2 minutes, but I'm using the G2.6, which is Fruithi's most powerful blender to date. So it's not going to take me more than probably 1.5 minutes, to be honest. But I'm just going to go for 2, you know, just to ensure everything is really smooth. So let's go. Now, as you're blending your butter, you're going to want to stop the blender 2 or 3 times and use a silicone spatula to push all the ingredients down the blender walls. This is so that your butter ends up really smooth and that everything ends up emulsified really well. If you don't do this, you're going to have little lumps of coconut oil and soy lecithin, and that's definitely not what you want. So you'll see throughout the blending process, I do this about 2 or 3 times. Okay, so now that the batter has been blended smooth, I'm actually going to transfer it into a silicone mold that I've got. You don't have to use a silicone mold if you don't have one, but you know, it just makes it look a little bit cool. You can actually just pour it into a bowl or a container, anything that, you know, will store stuff in it, really. So let me show you how I do this. Super simple. See, the mixture is still liquid, which makes it really easy for us to pour into molds and stuff. I'm probably gonna make a mess of this, but you know, whatever. So this recipe makes 250 grams of vegan butter, give or take. And I just like separating everything out into little portions because it just makes it easier to soften when I want to bake something. Instead of having to wait for a whole hour. Okay, so now I'm gonna pop this into the freezer just so that it, you know, hardens really quickly. You can actually just put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes and it'll be ready for you to use. One thing about this vegan butter, of course, you're gonna have to let it, you know, soften for a little while before actually using it. So if you're going to make a cake or muffins or whatever, you want to leave the butter out for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then, you know, you'll be able to whip it, you'll be able to do anything with it. So I'm just gonna pop this into the freezer and I'll come back and show you how it looks after it's hardened up. You can see it pops out really easily. Oh, I broke in half, but that's because I didn't wait long enough. Anyway, what I like to do is wrap it, and then you've got yourself a little stick of vegan butter. I've got 4 sticks of vegan butter ready for me to use in cookies, muffins, or whatever you want to make. Rub it on your body if you want, you know, up to you. I'm going to keep these in the fridge, wrapped in the parchment paper, and let them soften before I use it for my cookies, muffins, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's as simple as it gets. Homemade vegan butter in about 10 minutes. Obviously, I didn't let these freeze long enough, but what you want to do if you do put them in molds is to freeze them for at least half an hour, pop them out, and then wrap them in paper. Otherwise, just straight in the fridge in a tub, and you know, you can spread it on toast, do whatever you want. I've said that so many times now. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.